Welcome to Watercolor Live. Our next Watercolor Live session will take place this Monday, the 8th of December. And December will be huge when it comes to my Watercolor Lives because there are many different things happening. So the first thing, our next Watercolor Live session will be this Monday, the 8th, and we're going to be continuing the trail of understanding the work of Arthur Streeton. Arthur Streeton being an Australian oil painter who painted basically in a very impressionistic style during the Impressionist period. And he developed a lot of things when it comes to his paintings that honestly we should be using today. And my goal of going back to the past and learning from masters of the past is to actually show you how you are actually able to shrink the time that it takes you to progress your paintings by literally borrowing things from masters of the past. And when we do this, we basically need to focus on the elements that probably are the ones that we're struggling with now. Because if we're dealing with something and it's working really well and it's progressing really well, and perhaps we've even developed it in a very positive way, then there's no point going back and confusing yourself with how other artists in the past did it. So the reason why I've chosen Arthur Streeton, and particularly for what we're doing this Monday, is actually something very rich, very unused today, and I think you're going to love it. Here is the subject which we're going to be painting this Monday, the 8th of December. This is an Arthur Streeton oil painting. Now, one of the reasons why I chose this subject, I think it's obvious, is for the color work. You see that big half, the top half of the painting is blue, the bottom half of the painting is yellow. How does that work? Why does that work? Why is chopping the painting in two not a problem? And what are the ideas of this bright blue, this bright yellow, and how they actually work together? But there's another aspect, and we started talking about this last Monday, so Monday the 1st. Incorporating gouache. Is it a good idea? Is it not a good idea? How to do it? Incorporating some gouache into some of our watercolor paintings, not necessarily everywhere, sometimes just in certain areas. Why? This is a big conversation. This is really a conversation that I am going deep into, and that is the fact that our bright colors in watercolor don't necessarily stay bright. Our dark values in watercolor on their own don't necessarily stay dark. There are some issues, also light fastness issues, different issues that bright colors, dark tonal values, sometimes taking a little bit of gouache is actually a big advantage, and we're going to continue that work this Monday, the 8th of December, knowing that the work that we do remains transparent. And I can tell you this because I have used gouache for over 20 years in my watercolors and nobody knew. So the transparency is definitely not a problem. Just working out how to use gouache in a way that's actually beneficial. The second part of what we're going to be doing this Monday will be composition work. Now, this is something that I love. Arthur Streeton's way of using composition, creating composition, was just masterful. I think you can see it. I think you can at least feel it if you don't understand it. The composition of this painting is beautiful. It is strong. It is beautiful. And it's very discreet at the same time. There is something that I call a double composition. There are two overlapping compositions almost in the same painting. This is something that Arthur Streeton mastered and did over and over again. And I believe this is actually part of what separated him from many of the other artists of his time, but definitely could be one of the ingredients that you can use in your paintings today to actually boost your paintings and create much richer paintings, which I believe also would make you stand out again from people around you. Working with this painting Monday the 8th of December actually opens the door for some of the things that we find difficult in our watercolors. Keeping our colors strong, keeping our dark values dark, and that's one of the biggest aspects that I see people struggling with, because we paint our dark values on, and then as the color fades, we realize that the tonal values just no longer there, and therefore we go back into our darks. And when we've gone through that process, probably too much, we start to think that, you know what, I'm just going to put on more pigment, and then our dark values start to become opaque, which is not really the solution either. So I want to talk about this problematic that we have when it comes to dark values and strong color that lasts, and this double composition, which I think is a beautiful way of adding richness and to be perfectly honest, improve the level of our paintings. So both of these we'll be treating this week. Now, if you want to join me, if you want to actually paint along with me, obviously that is with pleasure. Don't forget that if you paint along with me, you'll actually get the occasion to have a free critique of your painting done during the live, so that I can give you some feedback into what I see is going on in your painting. That is such an important thing, because it helps people understand where their weaknesses are, and basically gives you guidance to things that you could be doing to fast track what your improvement, your progress. The second thing, if you cannot join us on Monday, just by inscribing, you'll actually get the link to the live session, which you can watch over and over again, and you will actually have access to the critique section, which you will see has so much information in it, and the discussion that we have at the end of the live. So in both cases, you will actually get the link to the recording with live access to watch over and over again. So with that said, I look forward to seeing you on the 8th of December as we dig deep into this painting of Arthur Streeton. See you on Monday.